Hello and welcome to a new episode of Everstate's Go-To Master Show Season 3. We converse with RevOps and GTM leaders from some of the most successful companies today and learn from their unique stories. Joining us today is Peter Van Lier, Sales Operations and Commercial Excellence Leader at Imperative Care. Peter, thanks for joining us. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you for having me on the show, guys. I appreciate it. My name is Peter Van Lier. I currently work as Senior Sales Operations and Commercial Excellence Leader. I started deep into data, coding data warehouses, tracking performance, doing sales analytics. Today, I lead an amazing cross-functional team here at Imperative Care. We drive OpEx savings, deliver predictive analytics, and anything from commission design to demand forecasts. My team is helping Imperative Care excel in a very competitive market, which is the neurovascular market today.
Awesome. Whenever you talk about analytics and data engineering, it's always exciting because that's one of the building blocks for RevOps here. It's as maybe we'll start with the basics. What experiences have shaped the way you think about building high performing go to market systems? Right? Do you have any experiences, past failures or successes that have actually substantially informed this view for you?
Yeah, so at my first company, it was one of the largest multinational medical device companies. So it showed me what looked at scale, right? And with that scale came a lot of challenges, right? We had fires in our manufacturing facilities. We had just rapid expansion of certain geographies, right? We were in over 150 countries with 250 reps in the US, over 800 SKUs of products, right? So with all that came challenges, right? But it showed what someone would look at scale, right? Maybe not perfection, but they were able to deliver all these results and drive patient outcomes at a massive scale. So I took that into Imperative Care. And Imperative Care, I joined from $0, so there's nothing there. But I knew what a decent scale company looked like. So it gave me a target to get to. And it helped me, see these challenges I had at the past companies and help me try to avoid them or downplay the challenge a little bit more so we could grow a little bit faster.
Awesome. So kind of resonates with where I come from, right? So I started working on like nuclear power plants that was, like highest degree of safety. And then I moved to commercial buildings and I was like, hey, you're thinking too deeply, too strictly. So was there also a bit of a unlearning for you as you moved to Imperative from such a big company where you had to optimize the system size for, smaller company?
Oh no, that's a great point. When I first joined Imperative Care, I tried to insert some processes, right? Some processes were, very relevant to the size of the company. Others were like maybe too aggressive, too early for that. We eventually did those processes 2, 3 years down the road. But to your point, when you're a multinational organization, you're held to a higher level. You have to worry about different country regulations, right? And when you're just starting up in the US, there's less regulations to worry about because you're only worrying about one market. So I really had to cut down my train of thought of like everything needed process. Well, not everything did. And if you allow some things to not have a process, you will move quite agilely through commercialization of product. I mean, not saying that other departments aren't process heavy, right? Regulatory, right? No matter what stage of company you are, they're going to have to follow every process in the book.
Yeah. So again, going to the smaller company mindset, growth is always the key word in smaller companies, right? Like the big ones, obviously they have sustained growth, but in the smaller company, there is a chance that growth is just super fast. How do you keep growth tied down to operational process and regulatory process and stuff, especially devices? Like what does optimized growth look for you? How does it look for you?
Yeah, to your point, having hyper growth of sales is a risk, right? You kind of outstrip your capacity in every department if you do that. And if every department's not adequately supplied, um, you run into some troubles, right? In our industry, those troubles can mean failure to supply physicians with life-saving tools to impact patient lives. Um, so one of the biggest things that we did at Imperative Care is just high clarity of communication, right? And for me, that was in particular to the sales and operations planning process, right? Making sure that operations, sales, marketing, we're all on the same page, speaking together, weekly, sometimes daily basis during the COVID era to make sure we knew what we had in terms of supply. We knew where we were going in terms of demand, and we knew the performance of the field at that time. That all those threes were singing together, and we were going towards the same goal. If one of those things is missing, right, you end up with back orders, you end up with oversupply. And for a startup that's trying to stretch every dollar we funded through our series, I mean, it means a lot to a startup company. And then our CEO, Fred, he stresses this point every day that it's all about the patient, right? So that is a big thing in medical device. Every decision you make affects the patients eventually, right? Whether it's your manufacturing line and how they operate to how your commercial team sells the product.
Yeah, there's also a regulatory angle, to a business which keeps, things in check, I suppose. Just, leading off from that, was there a moment when actually the processes slowed you guys down in a good way? Or is that something that, where the systems actually said, hey, hold on, just breathe easy here and then we can move forward? Was there an instance like that?
I mean, to your point, regulatory is always that player, right, in mind to make sure we have the safest product that we can have in the market, right? There's always hiccups in med device, but I think it's just owning up those hiccups, right? And trying to solve those challenges when they come, right? Um, you know, a lot of companies can say, they could take shortcuts, but I'm confident that we have not. And not taking those shortcuts have allowed us to shore up other processes that may have been a little bit weak, right? And to your point, that probably saved us multiple times in making sure we launched a product that had the perfect safety record we could get, right? The best safety record we could get, and also enough supply for the high demand that maybe we didn't expect initially because it was such a great product.
Nice. Uh, Shifting focus to compensation. I'm curious to know in a field heavy model, what compensation levers help you reward steady performance versus say certain spikes in performance. Like how do you make reward consistency over just flash in the pan?
Yeah, my motto for compensation at any company I've worked on is just consistency in general, right? Consistency quarter over quarter, year over year. That's what drives behaviors in my comp plan designs. And we do that through, certain bonuses, other levers too, through the payout scales. But it's also communication to teams, telling them like, hey guys, this is the comp plan. This is how we've designed it. Do you see this as the same design? Sales reps, become rocket engineers with the comp plan, right? So if you design a comp plan that maybe can be broken, if they're even more consistent, that's great, right? If they want to break it that way, go for it. But also when in a rapid growing company, right, we have to worry about territory expansion, right? You never want to take, reps accounts away prematurely, or even if they don't feel comfortable with it. And I think territory planning is never black and white, right? There's a lot of great tools out there, mapping software, analytics, right? You can run, and it can show you a black and white picture. It's like, hey, this territory should be split to create an expansion territory. But you have two problems with that, right? Is the current rep comfortable with that? And can we find talent in that certain area to cover for that? A lot of these reps have decades-long relationship with the physicians or decade-long relationship with that hospital that hospital trusts them with the lives of the patient, right? So you don't want to, number one, damage that. And number two, like, is there talent there, right? And with that, right, we take the black and white data, we sit down with the VPs and sales leaders, and they add color to it, right? So I'm never there saying, hey, we got to do X, Y, Z. It's more a recommendation, and we come up with a solution that kind of matches all parties. And we make sure, like, if the rep splits a territory, we give them the opportunity to rebuild a new territory before any negative impacts would affect them. And it usually has turned out very positive for the rep.
Nice. You almost, took my next question and answered it completely. So I was about to ask you, how do you balance territories based on not only the data but also human relationships? You just explained it by saying you'll probably sit with them and take them through it and find out if they're comfortable. That's
I think
really interesting.
there's one more step, I think, too, is the talent portion, right? I think we're trying to go in a direction, and we've had success as well, is to lean on developing the talent in house, right? Kind of like FC Barcelona and La Messiah, right? Is if you're able to develop talent in house, you don't have to fight competition for it, and you're training them the way it is. You're training them your culture from the get go.
Nice. I want to go back to RevOps a little bit. So, what are the first workflows that you moved beyond sales into legal, finance, regulatory, etc.? And what were the initial challenges, especially in a growing concern such as yourself?
Yeah, initially I reported to the CFO directly. So I had a very close relationship with legal. I was helping them redline contracts and also financing, help them do some revenue operation um, objectives. So I started there. The first thing we did is we signed a big agreement with a big contract management software company. Um, but it wasn't usable data at the time for, say, our national account manager or our finance team, right? So we did an integration with Agiloft and Salesforce, right? So we mapped out the entire process through Salesforce so we could track where these documents are landing, how much time it's taking us to respond, right? All these more data, right? More data to use, and we're able to decrease the turnaround time greatly and increase the effectiveness of that data source. And also we did, we put D&B capabilities into Salesforce for our finance team, which helps them accelerate, right? Helps them stay lean and also more productive in their roles there. The biggest challenge is just providing our ROI proof, right, of our CRM platform. We personally use Salesforce. It's a very expensive tool. Reporting to CFO, that's probably the first kind of thing they ask for is like, can I see the ROI between it? So when you reach out to other departments, maybe outside your initial scope, you have to sell them the tool, right? A lot of these departments may have not used their tool in life, complaint handling, regulatory, right, to a certain extent. So you have to really sell them, here's a solution, this is what the solution can do for you. If it's just a cool tool that, you just want to show off in Salesforce, they probably won't buy it. But if it's a tool that's going to help them optimize their processes and stay lean and agile, then they become interested in the tool.
Awesome. You spoke about growing skills internally and upskilling internal folks. I wanted to move to some of the you know uh, coaching based questions, right? Where I wanted to ask you, what do you think are some of those things that analysts and data engineers and even business intelligence professionals can do to upskill to gain business context, right? And not just be Salesforce admins or ops managers. So what do you think those key skills are?
Yeah, I think it comes into like three main points, right? Is to be curious, right? Never just give the data and just be like, I'm done with it. Whatever, guys. Here's the data. Make a decision, right? Deliver data, make some recommendations, or give your own insights into how it is, and understand the full story, right? Data is just a starting point in the story. Just like we said with territory planning, it's never black and white. While data can be black and white, there's something else going on in the background driving those numbers, right? So always be curious, always ask questions, make recommendations. The second is kind of similar to, right, go beyond the numbers, but in my head, this means go past the sales data, go past the market data, right? You have to understand how your product fits in the market and how that market impacts the patient, right? So I always like to send my analysts or CRM people to an industry conference to learn more about stroke, to learn more about PAD or pulmonary embolism, right? Because when you have that knowledge, then you can tie the whole story together, right? And you can have deeper conversation with the leadership team that already have that knowledge, right? And are tying the pieces themselves together. But now you'll be able to present a completed puzzle or partially completed puzzle instead of just pieces to it. And then I think I've said this multiple times during this podcast is communication, right?
Yeah.
Communication with your team, communication with cross-functional departments, communication with departments you might not even have worked with in the past. The more you communicate, the more agile a organization can be, and that's where success happens, I think.
Yeah. I think one of the key things that I also, it kind of resonates with what I also do is I tell them that, data is there, but hypothesis is driven by the business context. Like data can answer two questions depending on what questions you ask. And if the question is from hypothesis A versus hypothesis B, the same data could inform both equally
Mm.
well. So this is something that it completely resonates with what you said, right? If you don't have business context, data is kind of not very useful. Uh, I think we obviously segue into AI, right? This is where the next, inflection point is happening in terms of intelligence. Uh, how are you guys adopting AI internally? How are you delivering wins internally using AI? And other places where you have taken a hard stand saying this will not be solved with AI, even though you could have you taken a stand that this is not an area where AI is going to come in. So
Yeah,
this one question,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. I think in a medical device, pharmaceutical, I think there's these grand ideas of AI, what it can do for us, and it's very exciting, right? But from my standpoint, I think it's in an early adoption stage, right? It's high risk, high cost, low reward right now for many departments. Some departments are already there, right? Content creation, I think, might be there already. I think data analytics are still in the predictive analytics stage, not truly AI, as what I've seen a lot of the demos happening. But with that, we're going full speed ahead in predictive analytics, right? We're doing some things through our CRM platform um, that will get us there, right? So basically, we're taking baby steps to AI. I don't think we're ready to rip the band-aid off and say to the organization we have AI. We're partnering with IT currently to understand the risk associated with it. As a med device company, we have to be careful with our data more so than say you know direct to consumer company, right? So I think there is a place for AI in our future, but right now we're just in the predictive analytics stage. And going back to your point, right? Data is great, but I think just with like Tableau or Power BI or any of those um, tools, I think a lot of sales operation, revenue operation teams kind of become complacent with these reports, right? They have a big platform out there, 20, 30, hundreds of reports out there, and everything's there, right? And you're tempted to just say, hey, go to this link and find the answer, right? Now, AI agents can help with finding the right answer, but at the same time, if nobody's watching that data in those reports on a daily, weekly basis, sales team, the sales leadership, they're not going to pick on every trend, right? Because that's the job of the RevOps, sales ops team to pick up on those trends, right? And to bring that to the forefront and be like, hey, this report says XYZ, and it means XYZ to the industry and to the impact of the company. So I think that's my biggest call. Is like AI will get there. It's not there yet, but no matter what, you have to watch data as a team anyway.
So I think yeah. So on the AI part, right? So I completely agree. In fact, garbage in, garbage out is like the motto that internally we have. If sales reps or even other RevOps professional don't take efforts to maintain the data in a good format, there is probably very little incentive in going into AI for reporting. Uh, but what we do here internally is push AI in areas like you said content. That is something that we definitely do. But in terms of even RevOps itself, we look at workflows that could automate a bunch of tools in HubSpot, right? And some of those are logical questions that can be answered in, or the CRM is HubSpot, but that can be answered by an AI logically. So very small bursts of AI, not like a big, solutioning
Mm.
where it solves the world problem, but it's more like, hey, can you decide if this field needs to be mapped or not? Those kind of problems is what we are trying to solve, giving us marginal success, and it's also saving us a little bit of time. So wherever the skin in the game is not very high, we try to have AI solve those kind of things. Where the pain of failure is not really big. So those are small
I,
small takes we are taking.
I think that's a great point. Just marginal steps, right? I think a lot of people think AI would take it from here to here. In my head, I think it's going to take us step by step to your point.
Yep, yep. To wind up, I just wanted to ask you if you are reading any books and other any books that you would recommend to our listeners at this point.
Yeah, my former manager gave me a book called "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." So it's about upscaling your career, right? And it talks about breaking 20 habits, right? To excel your career. I was just saying that, I was at fault with some of those habits holding me back, right? I haven't cleaned them up completely, but uh, it kind of just it kind of just spoke to you through the book, and it's like you kind of self reflect on it. It's like, oh yeah, I do that. So that could be holding back my team, or even worse, my entire team, right? Because I am the leader of my team, and I am the director of where our teams is going in the future at a Paracare. So it was a very good book to kind of delve into your self-management style, and also it affects your relationship too with your partner or with your friends as well. So very good book if anybody wants to read it.
Awesome. Awesome. Can you restate the name?
The name is What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Well, that brings us to the end of this insightful episode of Go To Masters. A big thanks to Peter for sharing his experiences and valuable insights. Remember, you can tune in to us every week and learn more from game changers driving hyper-growth companies across the globe. Go To Masters is brought to you by Everstage, your trusted partners for transforming the way business handles sales compensation. I'm your host, Venkat, signing off.